Nice, shalom, shalom, shalom. I'm going to start off this video by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elder bishops, a great millstone that rule well, that teach well, while I learn the truth 100% according to the Bible. I also want to say shalom to the elect, the 144,000 men, prophets, servants scattered abroad the four corners of the earth, and shalom to you, Aqua, for you sisters that are sincere in your children, shalom. And in today's video, as you can see, is going to be a quick update video, just touching on the news that is basically occurring around the world as of now. So you got Iran, their biggest bank, just got wiped out in a big cyber attack, leaving no ATMs or no cash or Bitcoins, right? And we know, as it tells us in 2 Corinthians 2:11, lest Satan, right, meaning our adversary, Esau, Edom, should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. And it's, kind of hilarious that you got all of these things happening right now, seeing as though with the whole situation that's occurring with Iran and Israel going to war with one another, that you have this going on. And we know that all of this stuff is ultimately leading to that MOTBC hit, man. That's what all of these roads are leading back towards, to that chip being made mandated, because we know that it's not just going to be here in America. The Lord said that it comes across the whole world to try them that dwell therein, roughly paraphrasing it. So this chip is going to come upon the whole entire world. People in Iran, people in America, everybody, China, everybody's going to be under this system, man. And that's what we see everything leading up towards. This is why it's no coincidence you have Donald Trump. He just stopped making pennies, man. And we know if he just stopped making pennies, it's only a matter of time before, he ultimately stopped making dollars, and then they're going to go cashless as well. That's everybody's goal. That's the plan of these elites, to bring forth that new world order, right? Their CBDC, central bank digital currency, which is going to implement in the MOT-B, which all goes according to prophecy. So that's what all of these different things that we see happening are leading up to. That's ultimately why they're keeping people distracted with everything in which it is that is going on that's really not important. Because while you focused on one thing, they're doing a lot of other things like this in the background, man. And all of it is to set up that system, man. Like I said, they're going to make people believe that, regular currency isn't a thing anymore. That, hey, everybody going to have to conform to this new system because we just can't keep up the old one. There's problems with it. The technology is not registering right. It's going to be all type of excuses that this devil's going to come with, man, to bring in his new world order, man. Right. And I'm going to go to a precept just touching on that. Right. This is Psalms. Bear with me. Psalms chapter 55. Right. And I'm going to go straight to the point. Verse 21, right? In the KJV. And it says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, right? They're talking about Esau, Edom, because that's how this man is going to come in with his system. He's going to tell the people everything in which it is that they want to hear, that, oh, man, because it's only a matter of time before this stuff comes to America, man. Like I said, it's happening everywhere else around the world, and people thinking it's not going to come to this place. It's only a matter of time, right? It said the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart, right? Because ultimately, like I said before, he's ultimately trying to set up his new world order agenda, man. He wants that chip to be made mandatory for everybody to take. That's the goal of these elites. And the way that they're going to get it in is by ultimately, being smooth with it, man, being, gradually getting people to conform to it. They're not just going to blatantly come out with the chip. No, because that'll be too obvious. They're pushing it and slowly forcing it upon the people, man. Right. And it says, but war was in his heart. His words were salter than oil, yet were they drawing swords, because this man always has an agenda. Like I said before, he's going to tell people, oh, if you take this chip, it'll be in your best interest. You'll be able to buy and sell. You'll be able to, won't be able to lose your information anymore. People won't be able to hack and to scam you and do fraud upon you. It's going to be a whole bunch of tricks that this devil's going to come with to make people take this mark, right? That's why it tells you, yet were they drawing swords, because he always has a hidden motive, a hidden intention on why he's bringing forth this device. And it's ultimately to have full control, over the people, man, right? So I'm going to get into this video that we can see the guy has, and we're going to allow it to play. you know, and Lord's willing to be edifying, just, you know, a quick hit of things that are basically taking place. But like I said, all of this stuff is leading up to the CHIP, man. That's why you got all of these banks that keep going out, you know, all of these different types of problems happening with the financial system in these different countries, even in this place, America. Their financial system is going up and down, up and down. Inflation is at an all-time high in this place. That's all going for that chip, man. That's what all of the roads are leading up towards, you know. So I'm going to get into this video so we can hear what it is the guy's saying. But before I start this video, I'm going to say fair use. Fair use. I'm not getting paid for this video. This is only for educational purposes only.
This is Abu 7. We have the hacker group Predatory Sparrow claiming responsibility for a major cyber attack that has hit Iran's bank.
Right. And you hear what it is he just said. He said that it was some type of hacker group called Sparrow. We know that's a lie, man. Esau Edom is responsible for that, man. You know, the U.S. or Israel or, you know, somebody, man. The CIA, you know, that's why I read 2 Corinthians 2:11 earlier, man. Lest Satan should get advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices, man. Right? His devices goes into his tricks, his cunningness, his lies, his deception, all of the things that he ultimately comes with to try to, you know, pull a fast one upon the people, man. You got to be aware of this man's tricks, you know?
SEPA. And this bank, SEPA, is one of the country's oldest and most prominent financial institutions in the country. They have long-standing ties to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard and the Iranian army. This is the bank that's been used to feed all the financing into their military, anything. Making of missiles, transporting anything. It's all tied through this bank.
Right. And you hear what it is that he's saying. He said all of this stuff goes into their military, you know, them making weapons and things of that nature. And who are they at odds with right now? Oh, yeah, America and Israel. Right. So like I said, you know, we know who's involved behind this, man. But like I said it again, we know what's the whole purpose of all of these things taking place and what is ultimately leading towards. Right. You know, and I'm going to get that scripture in a minute, Lord's will.
They say that the group, which has been linked to Israel, announced on social media that it had destroyed all data at the bank. And this coincides with widespread disruptions in banking services all across Iran right now. People cannot get into their bank accounts. You might as well say ATMs are shut down. Money's wiped out. Nobody can access.
Right. And that's what's coming to America soon. Like he said, I'm pretty sure those people there in Iran didn't expect that to happen to them. It just suddenly occurred. It was just a sudden shift, man. And that's what's ultimately going to come into America when they bring in this digital system that these people are not going to be expecting. They're just going to wake up one morning and everything is just going to be different. You know, and the government going to be like, well, hey, we don't know, you know, like I said, going back into his words being smoother than butter, you know, he's going to give the people what they want to hear. Oh, you know, the dollar collapsed. It was weak. You know, we had to resort and move over to this new system so that, you know, people's identity can be safe and, you know, all of this different type of madness. You know, he's going to have something to say when they bring in this system. You know, there's always going to be a string attached, you know, with this devil. But, yeah, that's what it's all pushing towards, though, you know. The might be.
Anything
and it's coming soon. And the reason we know that the might be is coming soon because we see everything else that's heating up as far as prophecy that's occurring around the earth. You know, you got the Iran and Israel situation getting more intense by the second. You know, you got Russia that are, you know, supporting Iran in the back, just like you have America supporting Israel in the back. So, I mean, everything is setting up for prophecy. So we know it's only a matter of time before the MOTB is made mandatory, man. You know, it's not too far-fetched to think that it's coming very soon, man. Right? And that's why you're going to see more things like this begin to happen. You're going to see more so-called cyber attacks that are going to happen around the world that are ultimately going to affect countries' financial system and things of that nature. Like I said, these devils are very slick with how they do things. You know, they're not just going to allow it to just happen at one time. You know, they got to slowly push their agenda, you know, and that's what they're doing. They're slowly pushing it, but they're about to come with that chip, man. You know, it's only a matter of time.
Other banks will be operational, but this system targeted by Israel, not really a surprise, but they say, again, that they targeted this this bank specifically because of its military ties and its sanctions evasions. So on the heels of this, we also have hackers stealing and destroying millions from Iran's largest crypto exchange. So at the same time, Novatex saying that they have been hacked and the funds have been...
All right, so you basically hear what it is the guy's saying. So I'm going to go and get the precept because, like I said, we hear that he basically said that Israel is responsible for it, right along with the United States. And we know all these things, like I said before, is leading up to that currency swap, man, for everybody to conform to this system. And we know that they will, man, because that's a part of prophecy, right? And that's what everything is leading up towards, right along with you having everything else popping off with World War III getting more intense. You're going to have the implementation of the might be. We know that's prophecy, man. Right. This is Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. In the KJV, it said, and he, right, talk about Esau, Edom, the elite banking families, the people that are in control, those so-called little hats, right, causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, right? That mark goes into the word charagma, which means a stamp or an imprint. You know, they're going to put a device the size of a grain of rice, you know, through this RFID chip they going to implant into people in their right hands or in their foreheads. That's what's coming, right? And this is verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell, right? Ain't that what you see happening right now in Iran, right? But people can't even go to ATMs and get money out of it because everything is shut down, right? And like I said, soon to come, this stuff is going to happen in America as well, man. Well, people just going to wake up one day and everything is going to be not like it was, man. Banks going to be closed down. Everything is going to be, you know, bad. The only way you're going to be able to, do anything in the society that's to come is if you're basically connected to this new system that they're setting up, right? So it says, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name, right? And that's what all this stuff is leading up towards, man. You know, the implementation of the might be.
Funds have been drained from its hot wall. You're talking $90 million stolen right there in that move.
Right, $90 million. You know how bad that could collapse a nation's economy, you know, especially a place like Iran that doesn't really, you know, they have resources, of course, but they're not as wealthy as these other countries, you know. So, you know, that'll really put a dent in their society, man. And like I said, that's what these devils are doing to these countries around the world, man. Crippling their economies so that everybody has no choice but to conform to this digital system. You already see what they got going on in China, right? They already got all their citizens, you know, surveilled and tracked by AI and all of these different types of things, you know, smart cities and stuff like that. That's what's coming to America, man, in the world, you know. Because that's the plans of these elites, right? As I read earlier in Revelation 13 and 16, he calls it all, right? So this is going to come upon the whole world, man. Everybody that's in this world, you know, everybody. Doesn't matter if you rich, poor, you know, whoever you are, you know, is coming.
Stolen right there in that move. It goes on down here to mention that Predatory Sparrow, again, being involved, taking the credit for all these cyber attacks. So this one group hitting the biggest banks, wiping them out, and also going into the largest crypto exchange, hacking it, and stealing all the money. That is the latest here. I'm going to leave a link, but just
Right, but you basically hear what it is that he basically said. You know, they done stole their Bitcoin, they just stole their crypto, they just stole their cash. All of those things wiped out in one little attack, you know. And like I said, we know, like I said, these things are going to come on a broader scale in the near future because they need these things to take place, man, in order for them to set up their digital system, man, to implement the might be, which is going to happen according to prophecy. So we know it's only a matter of time before things like this begin to start occurring in different countries around the world. And it's going to happen, man, you know. So with that being said, you know, I'm going to end the video by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Lord's willing, this video was edifying. You know, just a little quick update of things that are taking place. And to the next time, I'm going to say shalom to the elect.